Okay, hey guys, welcome back to Cultivation with Christy. I'm Christy. As you can see, we are not in the garden today. I wanted to sit down and chat with you guys about what happened in 2025 in the garden and out of the garden, mostly out of the garden. I wanted to talk to you about my health journey, I guess, in 2025 and what finally set me off the deep end as far as making my own tinctures and salves and condiments and bread and all the things. Of course, I was doing bread before, but anyway, we'll get into it. If you're new here, hi, welcome. 2026 is a great year to start. You're gonna hear my dog's clicky clack feet throughout this video. Go lay down. So 2026 is going to be a great time to start with the channel. I'm hoping to really dive back into it. The last 4 months or so, I have been MIA, just not feeling it. I think some of that is just the garden. Like, there's nothing to do in the garden and all my fall plants died. So there's that. So, to recap my 2025, we'll start with the health side of things. You have to go back to, actually, September, October of 2023. So 2023 was the first time that I tried to plant garlic in my raised garden beds. Well, really, I think it was the first time that I had planted garlic ever. And so, looking into that, you can buy it from the store, just store-bought garlic and put it in the ground. But somebody here local had listed on one of my gardening groups in Facebook that they were selling garlic heads by the ounce. And it was a variety that obviously they grew here. So I figured that variety would be good to start with for me because I knew somebody else close to my area was successful with that garlic. Anyway, I reached out to her and I ended up going to her farm, and it was 10 minutes up the road from me, and got the garlic. And I noticed while I was there, she had a fun sticker on the back of her vehicle, and I'm like, I like this person. But we didn't chat very long. She was in the middle of painting her house, so I got the garlic, typical Facebook Marketplace stuff. I got the garlic and I left. Planted it, was pretty successful, enjoyed it. So October of, it was probably before that, July, August, September, I don't know, late 2024, I reached back out to this lady and I was like, hey, if you have any more garlic bulbs, if you're selling any of your extra this year, I would love to have some more because they did really well for me last year. And she said, okay, well, I'll just have to let you know what we have. I said, cool. Cheers. So she did reach back out to me because I just messaged her because we had talked through Messenger outside of Marketplace because it was in a group. So I just messaged her directly. So she actually got back with me and was like, hey, I'm going to have some extra garlic. How much do you want? So we worked it out and I went back out to her farm to pick it up. And we stood there in her driveway and talked a good long time, maybe 30 minutes, just standing outside. And of course, it was late October, November by then, so it's a little chilly. But we talked about all kinds of things. YouTubers that we follow, I think we talked about, obviously gardening, the decal on the back of her car, I mentioned to her. The top of my green stalk flew off. What's over there? Anyway, so I told her, hey, me and my neighbor get together weekly-ish when we're free to chit-chat about gardening, swap seeds, whatever. You're welcome to come by if you want to. So fast forward, she does end up coming. I'm probably to her like some kind of crazy woman that wants to get her to my house to like murder her or something. But she's very trusting. She came, and me and my neighbor and her sat down and were chatting. And so the end of 2024, that had to have been late November, December maybe, we were in my kitchen talking about, you know, health and all kinds of stuff. And I was talking about my headaches, which my neighbor was aware that I have migraines regularly. And so my garlic friend was telling me about this holistic doctor that she sees, and she had some medical problems and went to see her or called her. I don't know. She saw her, and she was able to help her. So I told her that I was wanting to kind of go that route with a holistic doctor, just because every time I would go to my primary care, who would refer me to the neurologist would do all these tests, say you're fine, and then they just wanted to hand me prescriptions like, oh, here's one for when you have a headache, let's put you on one to prevent you from having a headache. Well, I don't want to do that. Then I go to the gynecologist, you know, for regular female health update checkups, and she's like, well, your birth control could be giving you those headaches. When you have the placebo week, that's hormone withdrawal, so your headaches are coming from your birth control, on top of other things that may not be the only reason. So I'm like, oh, great. You know, what the heck? So anyway, all of these conversations and all of this thinking in January, so how 2025 changed my life. Now we're caught back up. 2025, I ended up going and scheduling an appointment with this holistic practitioner. Now, she is in Birmingham, so I was traveling 2 hours one way, so 4 hours to go to see this doctor. But I was like, at this point, I'm desperate. I was having 7+. Sir, get out. I was having 7+ headaches a month, which luckily, I don't know, I'm still not 100% sure, but luckily they were more in the evening times, so I wasn't really missing work. On occasion I would, a day or two here or there, but so anyway, I started going to see Dr. J in January of 2025, and I have some notes to remind me what all happened here. So 2025, January 2025, I started seeing her, I think the first week in January, and I set up my first appointment, and it was a bunch of tests. So when I went to the holistic doctor, I didn't know what to expect, but they used quite a bit of modern medicine, which I guess, I don't know what I was expecting, but I was not expecting that. So we did x-rays, we did blood work, we did heart monitor testing, and some other things. And now some of the things they did was not what I would consider modern medicine. The way that they test you for what supplements you need was a little different. She put me on a bunch of supplements, and the brands that she recommended were ones that do not have the synthetic additives and stuff like the supplements you would probably get off of Amazon. So I started taking a lot of those, to the point where one of my dad's friends, hey Shane, joked like, do you rattle when you walk? Because that's a lot. It is a lot. But, you know, again, I was desperate and open to whatever I was gonna need to do. After the first test, I went and did the blood work, and then I had a follow-up, just a phone conversation with the doctor saying, you know, here's the outcome of your blood work. And they give you a whole packet, which it got wet, but outlining what your blood work means. Like, they tell you all the descriptions of what the ranges are and what they should be, what most doctors' offices due to insurance rate the ranges in, and she described what she liked the ranges to be on a more holistic overall approach to the blood work, not just your insurance will say you're diabetic if you're in this range. After that first appointment, we talked about possible food allergies, and so I ended up doing a juice cleanse that she recommended. So I started that January 21st. So I was all in at this point. I was going to do whatever I needed to do, and if that meant drinking just juice for 5 days, I was going to do it. So I went and got a bunch of vegetables and followed the directions to a T. I only had juice, and every day you had a snack, chicken or avocado, whatever. I followed it to a T. Lost like 5 pounds because I was just drinking juice for 5 days. So I eliminated everything from my diet, except the vegetables for the juice. So over the next month or so, I ended up adding all of those items back. There was a long list: rice, dairy, beef, bean, like all the things. So I would add one back every day and see if I had symptoms. And I didn't have any that I could be like, oh, that's it. So I ended up diving into, which I had already taken a apothecary course in 2024, I think, 3 or 4, whenever it came out with Whispering Willow and the Honeystead. I took that course. So I really dove into making tinctures and salves and all of that, which I was mostly taking the supplements versus my tinctures, but I was trying willow bark, valerian, some of the other ones. Anyway, so I dived into that. February, so I'm still working on going through and adding back the corn, all the things one at a time. But in February, I got a rash on my face in a couple places, here and here. And that was perioral dermatitis. So I ended up going to my dermatologist. They looked it over. They're like, hey, we're going to give you a cream and an antibiotic that you have to take for a month. I'm like, no, I just got my gut going. I cleared everything out with the juice cleanse. Like, I'm feeling pretty good on that end. I don't want to mess it up and take an antibiotic for a month. Everybody knows the antibiotics aren't great anyway, but if you can avoid it, don't do it. So I actually had the appointment with the doctor, the holistic doctor, the same day. And she's like, yeah, let's not do that. Your body is just eliminating stuff. Like, you've stopped eating gluten, all of these things. Like, your body is just getting rid of stuff, and it's just coming out on your skin. And I'm like, okay, trust the process. Trust the process. So it did. It took a good month to clear up, but I quit putting makeup on that area of my face. I didn't put any lotions. I didn't put any soaps. When I washed my hair, I washed it this way so it wouldn't rinse on my face. Dog. But it did eventually clear up. So from the day I started the juice cleanse up until this point, I had been recording every day everything that I ate, everything that the protein amounts, the sugar amounts, the carb amounts, the individual ingredients of what I was eating, all of that. I logged it all, and then I stopped at day 39. I'm like, it's fine. It's getting better. It's fine. But in March, starting back with day 59, I started recording, making sure that I had less than 30 grams of sugar a day, less than 40 grams of carbs a day, and upwards of 120 grams of protein a day, which is a lot. It's a lot. So I was almost on a carnivore diet. Almost. Pause. I'm going to take this dog out. Okay, I'm going to have to stop in a minute and bring him back in because it's cold out there. But anyway, I was pretty much on a carnivore diet. I would eat the protein first, all of the protein, and then maybe eat potatoes and a bite or two of vegetables. But the main thing was protein. So, and then of course I was learning all of these things that she recommends. No gluten at all. The things that they spray on the wheat is not good. It stays in your system for at least 6 months. It takes forever to get it out, so don't eat gluten. Corn, soy, almond milk. It's much better to drink the milk from the cow than a processed anything. So at this point I'm rolling my eyes like, come on. Trying to trust the process. So I quit buying soy sauce. We swapped to coconut aminos. I didn't have any gluten from the time I started this in January until April. So April is my birthday month, and I love a restaurant here called Nothing But Noodles, and gosh darn it, I was gonna eat my noodles. So I did eat gluten. I started eating gluten again in April, which I did not see a detriment as far as immediate headaches or anything like that. But I do still now try to avoid it just because I feel better when I don't eat it, because when I do eat it, that's majority of what my meal is the gluten. So I try to eat potatoes and rice instead, which now rice is coming out that it's not great, but I do. Anyway, so in April I went and got allergy testing because I was seeing that I was having headaches as I was adding some of these things back, but it was like beef. Like, I don't think I have an allergy to beef. So I went to the allergy doctor, and come to find out, you can't really do you can do allergy testing, but it's going to show you if you're actually allergic. It does not show you sensitivities. And my allergy doctor told me the sensitivity tests that you can buy on Amazon and stuff are a gimmick, and they don't tell you the sensitivities. And if you Google it, there are a lot of lawsuits and stuff. So I was like, well, that was a wasted trip because I did the allergy testing and I was allergic to nothing. No foods. I'm allergic to all the trees, but not foods. So it started to get better. My headaches started to decrease. I went from 7 a month to 2 or 3 a month. And then in June I went to the Homestead Festival. So if you've never been to the Homestead Festival in Tennessee and you're local and you can go, because it is so much fun. There's so many vendors, you can buy so many things, but there's a lot. It's just like a conference. It is a conference. So you go to the individual tents that have the people talking about everything: gardening, butchering animals, homemakers, homeschooling, orchards, apothecaries, like all the things. You get all the education. It's a lot of stuff. You can look it up on YouTube, the Homestead Festival. They released the videos of the sessions a year later, so before they get ready to do this year's 2026's Homestead Festival, they'll release those videos. So if you want to see if it's worth it, check out those videos, but there's a lot of good information, and it's one of those that reinvigorates your drive to go home. And that's actually when I decided to up my worm bin operation, because there is a lady there, Hey It's a Good Life, Natalie at Hey It's a Good Life. Hang on, let me go let these dogs in. And there's other, big names like Joe Salatin and Jess Sowards from Roots and Refuge. I got to meet her and shake her husband's hand and give her a hug. It was just fun. I love it, all of these people. Jill from Whispering Willow, I actually didn't get to talk to her this year, but I talked to her last year. And Kaylee from the Honeystead. All of these people that have influenced me the past 3 or 4 years, I get to meet and talk to and listen to their talks and just get re-inspired. So if you haven't gone, you should go. But back to the health. So July, my headaches started to increase again. And so I'm keeping a log now, mainly from my headaches. I have stopped recording my food log on day 103. So I made it 3 months. Seemed to be on the upswing, and I got the hang of knowing how many carbs, how much sugar, protein, all of that. So, and it didn't seem to be food related. So though I was still watching what I ate as far as the carb and the sugar and the protein, I wasn't recording it anymore at that point. But in July, we went to Gatlinburg, me and my husband, and we always visit a tea and herb place. There's 2 in Gatlinburg, there's 1 in Orange Beach. They're kind of all over. They're a little touristy, I guess. But we had bought a tea blend. And so at that point, I had quit writing down stuff, but I was still logging my headaches on my phone, on an app in my phone. So anytime I'd get a headache, I would log what I ate and, the headache and what was going on that day if I thought it was relevant. But looking at it and looking at that log, at some point I thought it was coffee. Maybe I was drinking too much coffee, and the days I didn't drink coffee, I'd have a headache. But looking at the log, the days I drank coffee, I was fine, but it was the days that I didn't have coffee. But on the days I didn't have coffee, I was drinking a tea blend from that store. So I was like, well, maybe I'm alert or, sensitive to an herb in that tea blend. So I took the tea blend the next time I went to Dr. J. So in January through February, I think I was going weekly to Dr. J. That was 4 hours every time I would go, plus the appointment. And of course, it's out of insurance, so I was invested in my health at this point. So by June, July, I was seeing her every 4 weeks. I went from every week to every other week to every month. And right now I'm sitting at every 6 weeks-ish. I started doing, she's a chiropractor, so I started getting adjustments and noticed that helped a lot as well. The headaches decreased after I started doing that. But with the tea blend, I took it to her and she was looking at the ingredients, and in the ingredients it had natural flavors. And so she's like, I bet you it's these natural flavors, which is not always natural or derived from natural ingredients. But I quit drinking the tea and I quit having headaches. So now I'm down to 1 headache a month here on January 1st of 2026. So I think it was a lot of what I was eating. We eat a good bit of processed foods, which we had cut out, Hamburger Helper and stuff like that the year before. But this year I cut out a lot of, when I would go to restaurants and stuff, I wouldn't get noodles, I wouldn't get bread. And here in the last 2 months, I've added gluten back pretty heavily, which I need to not do that. But it's all been the stuff that I make. Well, not all. I can't say all. But, I do more sourdough. I'm starting to make my own sodas, which is fermented, which is good for the gut health, like all the things. So in conclusion, I leaned a lot more into the garden this year as I was going through all this health stuff, because I wasn't eating the gluten. I wasn't eating the processed foods. When we went out to eat, I would get a meat and potato kind of thing. And now I make 90% of everything from scratch from home. So a lot of that comes out of my own yard. I grew garlic this year. I grew ginger, all of the well, not all. Most of the produce I grew came from my garden. So I know what the ingredients are. A lot of people roll their eyes when they hear people not eating processed foods and all this. And it's not always because somebody said it's bad. It's because you had to go through something like 7 to 8 plus migraines a day and then come out on the other side of it when you stopped eating all of that and or looking at the ingredients in your food and giving your body what it needs by supplements, if you're not eating what it needs. So all of that to say, look at the ingredients in your food. If you're having a health issue, be it sugar or headaches or weight or infertility or any of that, the processed things, there's a reason that things in the US are illegal in other countries. Like, we shouldn't necessarily be eating it. And I'm not saying that I don't have that stuff. I've got oatmeal cream pies and Reese cups on my counter, okay? I'm not saying it's a end-all be-all type situation. I'm saying moderation is good, and seeing the effects that the garden and Whole Foods has had on my life, plus getting to talk to an individual in, a doctor who is passionate about the holistic approach, really opened my eyes and my health. And the headaches was just part of it. You don't need to know all the other details on YouTube, but things that I have been dealing with since at least high school. My headaches didn't start till college, but some of the other things have cleared up and or I am handling now because I had somebody that didn't just want to throw prescription drugs at me and be like, you'll be fine. And all of that started with a bulb of garlic from my gardening. And, I've talked to a bunch of other people I've met that have enjoyed gardening. And sometimes it's not because they want to eat whole foods. It's because it's really cool to grow something and be like, I made this. Or even, my coworkers at work, I've got them making soda. I'm teaching them how to make soda, how to make bread. And they come into work and they're like, I made this weekend and it was so good. It was so much better than store-bought. Like, being able to change people's lives in the slightest way. Like going from store-bought bread to I can't eat that stuff anymore because it's not as good as mine. Or I am trying to heal my gut, like my stomach's not good and I'm going to try to make this soda and it's actually pretty good. Like just hearing just my coworkers, and I don't know who's seeing this, but just influencing in the real world, not just on YouTube, but like the people around me, and I can share my story and be like, look, it's real. It's real, I promise. Eat real food when you can. That's it. And if you want to grow it, if the garden changes your life by a bulb of garlic, do that too. Anyway, for 2026, I plan to be back on YouTube a lot more, sharing the things that I'm doing, things that I'm making, things that you can do, follow along. It's more my journey, but if I teach you things on the way, like, please join me in 2026. Share this video if you think it will help. If you're local, reach out to me. I would gladly share Dr. Jessica's information. If you're local to Birmingham or willing to make the trip, because I think it's worth it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of money on the front end, but if you want to live a better quality of life, it's worth it. But yeah, join me in 2026. Here in the next few weeks, we'll be starting some spring crop seeds, and then shortly after that, mid-January, I start my pepper seeds. So it is go time for the garden season. The dogs are needy. I'm going to go finish my coffee with my homemade eggnog in it. If you've got things, questions, things that you want to see in 2026, drop them below. Feel free to share this video and join me on this journey and see what 2026 is going to change for me. Okay, guys, till next time.